If you go party people, episode 80 of Where My Killer Tape at, bruh. Yo, what's up with that? Man, 80 episodes in my belt. What's up with that? Anyway, let's talk about what we're gonna do here. What I'm gonna do here, right? I'm gonna bring back the health segment. Actually, gonna give you a little parenting tip on how to teach your kids how to read. I'm gonna do a quick review of Netflix In the Shadow of the Moon. I'm going to talk a little bit about this new movie Joker hype, the new shit, the new joint is out with Joaquin Phoenix. I'm going to give you my little piece on the Revolt Summit and T.I. and Candace Owens and all of them. Talk about Spider-Man's return to the MCU. So yeah, I'm going to geek out a little bit, man. Word is born. Check it out. Yo, where my killer tape at, B? As I record episode 80 of Where My Killer Tape at, I'm sipping on Platform Beer Company's Bonbonnerie Time Pastries Opera Cream Stout Coffee Stout. So you know this shit is gangster as fuck. It actually tastes really good. It actually feels like I'm tasting a pastry. It doesn't have the usual kick of a stout. It has a kick more of a porter, but it's not as bitter as a stout. It's as bitter as a porter, but it's still good shit. If you want to introduce somebody to stouts, I think this is probably a good idea. Really dope. Shout out to the Battle House for the introduction. Word. It's all a game. It's all a game. Yep, so you probably heard the news already. Spider-Man is coming back to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU. To be honest, I didn't see that coming. I thought that Sony was like, we figured out the game, we're gonna take the bag and run. But alas, it still doesn't really mean anything, because the way the contract is working now is that Kevin Feige is going to oversee another Spider-Man movie, and then they're gonna involve Peter Parker in another MCU movie. So that don't mean anything, and to be quite honest, that other movie could be in phase 5 for all we know. You know what I'm saying? Because we already know what phase 4 is. So I don't know. I'm not gonna get too hyped. I don't know. I trust Kevin Feige. I trust the MCU. I really don't trust Sony. But I don't know what that means, how it's going to come about, how they're going to get down. But I know, to be quite honest, this iteration of Spider-Man really can't be without the MCU. So I don't know how Sony's going to fix that. There are people that are saying that this might be an opportunity for the MCU to bring in Miles Morales. To be honest, as much as I would like to see Miles Morales on the silver screen, that's not animated. That Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was fucking beast. I think that's the best Spider-Man movie ever. But I think that, let's say, for example, if Sony says we're not messing with y'all no more, MCU, we out, I think they not gonna have Spider-Man in the MCU. That's just, if they could have a world without, Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, then they can probably move that on as well. It could happen, but we'll see. I've been wrong about these things. Shit, I'm wrong about them all the time. But let's see what happens. Word.
Yeah. I think Prince should run first in this one. I think Prince should run first in this one.
For those of you that know me, I'm a Marvel head. If you've been listening to my podcast for the last 79 episodes, I'm a Marvel head. I did dig the Justice League. I do read some DC stuff. I was really big on the Vertigo stuff when it came out several decades ago. So they're going to close that. I need to talk about that. Anyway, the Joker movie comes out October 2nd, which will be tomorrow. If you're hearing this recording, it'll probably already be out. It's starting Joaquin Phoenix, and it directed by Todd Phillips, who did, if you guys don't know, he did the Hangover trilogy. So he did like movies like Old School. So he does a lot of that like funny, frat boy humor stuff. So he's doing this movie right here. I'm not gonna see it because number one, like DC, like their superheroes, they have like a really booty rogues gallery, and I think Joker's overrated, to be quite honest. I did like Heath Ledger's Joker in the Dark Knight and the Nolan Ryan joints. Did I say Nolan Ryan? My bad. You know who I'm talking about, right? And I dug that. I think he did a good job. But to see like a movie about the Joker, it's kind of like Venom. Like I kind of like wasn't gonna see that because you can't have like Venom without Spider-Man. So like Joker and Batman go hand in hand. So I don't see how that's gonna work. I heard there's been getting rave reviews, like standing ovations and all kinds of stuff before even like it was released. Now you're hearing mixed reviews, but before that, people was just like thinking it was the best shit ever. I think on Twitter I saw that they were like, "This could be the first superhero film that wins the Oscar." Wrong. Black Panther won the Oscar, you knuckle buckles. So it won. Yes, it did win 2 Oscars. It won an Oscar for what was it? For costume design, and it got one for sets, for stage sets and stuff like that. So, and then somebody from Ohio won that. Shout out to them. So anyway, there's a superhero movie that already got not only just nominated but also won Oscars, because Black Panther got nominated for a bunch of stuff. They just didn't win it all. So I don't know why they keep doing stuff like that. Black erasure. But yeah, I'm not gonna go see it. There are people that are upset that a lot of movie theaters are like, we're not gonna let people show up in costumes, and which I think is their right. I hate to be this way, but in this day and age, it bees like that. You know what I mean? And we had situations that happened before. There's stress of people that are that incel motherfuckers. I gotta do a segment on them. Them incel motherfuckers, they're gonna be out there. So I'm not saying that's gonna happen, but better safe than sorry. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I see it. So I'm not really tripping on that. I know the people that are upset about that. People have made threats online. People are pointing fingers at extremists. But I'm gonna say this, man. I know there's a group of people who feel like this movie is written for them. Like, here's a white dude who's been wronged, and his response to that shit is to be violent. Fuck y'all motherfuckers, for real. Like, you know what I mean? For real. Like, I'm really done with that idea of that these white males who are doing these shootings, that we have to kind of like give them room and space. Now, fuck that, man. Like, there are people that I've been wrong. I've been that guy that's been wrong. You know what I mean? I've been that guy that got rejected or whatever. Yo, that motherfuckers got to get over that shit. Rejection is rejection. And I know I'm saying it in the simplistic terms, and I don't really mean to do it like that. But come on, man. We not doing this, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think we don't really need to understand the villainy of this shit. Like, we don't really need to understand what makes Joker tick. You know what I mean? Like, that's for real. But I ain't see the movie. I shouldn't even be speaking on it. But there's a lot of controversy on it. It's a lot of hype, and I see that there's a lot of hype, and I think they're going for that. It's gonna push numbers. It'll probably break records. But I'm good on that. Word. So I was perusing through Netflix, which I'm about to give up on because Hulu's about to go Disney Plus. And I ran across this movie with one of my. He's not like my favorite actor, but I just really like him for some reason. I honestly can't explain why I like Boyd Holbrook, but he's in like mad shit. He was in that Pablo Escobar joint, that Narcos joint. He played the villain in Logan. Because I didn't like the movie Logan, but I liked his character. And he's just been in mad shit. He was in the new Predator movie joint, and that was dope. But I like him, man. He plays this detective named Locke in this movie called In the Shadow of the Moon. It's a Netflix original. And yo, I swear to God, I thought this was Zoe Kravitz, but it's actually a young woman by the name of Cleopatra Coleman. Yo, I swear to God, I thought it was her. I really, really did. I cannot explain why, but I thought that was Zoe Kravitz. But anyway, she plays a character named Raya. I'm trying to tell you this movie without giving it away because it's one of those movies that it's a sci-fi thriller detective story. Yeah, so anyway, Bokeem Woodbine is in it. He's getting mad fucking work, yo. Like there was a time remember when Sean Price was like, no acting, Bokeem Woodbine, right? Because like Bokeem Woodbine sounded the same in like every movie he was in, but he's been putting in work and he's getting better. I'm not gonna front, and he's gonna be one of those actors that just be doing mad shit. But he's in mad shit, and I know he's in the Wu-Tang American Saga, but he plays the partner to Boyd Holbrook's character Locke. Anyway, it's two Philadelphia detectives, and they're trying to solve all these murders that are happening throughout Philadelphia that are kind of connected but not really connected. And they got Michael E. Hall, who played Dexter, and they got this dude named Rudy Dharma Lingami, who plays Naveen, who plays like this doctor who's trying to find like this serum and shit. So anyway, it's a dope movie. I liked it. The pacing could have been different, but yo, to be straight up honest with y'all, like that's the kind of movie I would direct. Like I would direct like a sci-fi thriller that's like mad realistic and rooted in shit and what's going on politically. And that's what this movie does. It's rooted in what's going on politically. It's mad realistic. It's gritty. But there's that little sci-fi taste to that shit. And I was really feeling that. I really was loving it. But damn, I thought that was Zoe Kravitz. But definitely check it out. It's again, it's called In the Shadow of the Moon. Word! On some real geek out shit though, I know a lot of y'all, a lot of people have been asking me when I'm going to start discussing Jonathan Hickman's run on House of X and Powers of 10. And y'all know me, I'm a huge Jonathan Hickman fan. His Fantastic Four runs, freaking amazing. His Avengers and his New Avengers run is freaking amazing. So, I mean, he did Secret Wars 2015, freaking amazing. I can go on and on about Jonathan Hickman. His House of X, Powers of 10 is freaking amazing. But I want to wait until the series is done. So they're currently on issue 5 on both of the stories, and they got one more issue to go. And then once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and discuss it. I appreciate the discussion that's on now, and somebody hit me up to another website that like really helps out. But I'm gonna wait till it's done because a lot of stuff that's happened. And I'm gonna do a lot. It's gonna be a lot of spoilers, so I just want to do that because a lot of people keep asking me, and I really want to talk about it. Trust me, I really, really do. But I'm gonna wait until I'll probably just do a separate episode with somebody. I'll probably do it that way. So be patient with me, and thank y'all. Word. I was watching, and this is a spoiler alert, I was watching episode 6 of Wu-Tang and American Saga on Hulu. And there's they finally reveal like what actual year it is, because I know it takes place before, and I made a mistake. Shout out to Dis Dolo. I made a mistake on the previous episode, episode 78, where I did a review of it. I said that it was before the GZA got his deal with Cold Chillin'. And the GZA got his deal with Cold Chillin', and the RZA got his deal with Tommy Boy. No, I said that they both got a deal with Cold Chillin', when really the RZA got a deal with Tommy Boy, and the GZA got a deal with Cold Chillin'. So my bad on that mistake. Shout out to Dis Dolo for fixing that for me. Anyway, in episode 6, there's a scene where they're watching the news and they're talking about Desert Storm, which takes place in 1991. So they were given the actual year of when this what all is going on at that time. And then because one of the issues I had, because for some reason I thought that the show took place in 88. I was wrong, because in 88, cats weren't wearing like Timberlands and stuff like that. It didn't start until like that's about 1990, 1991. And there was a shift, because what happened is cats was wearing, Jabos and some of us were wearing shoes. You know what I mean? We was wearing Nike Air Max and stuff like that, shoes like that. I know Jordans, like, they weren't out of style, but the new Jordans hadn't come out yet. So, and back then, it took a while for new Jordans to come out. It's not like now every year they got a new one and they have throwbacks, but back then it took a while for it to design to happen because it was just a different time. Anyway, so I was trying to figure out when did we shift from wearing Jabos, jeans, and sneakers to wearing fatigues and Timberlands or boots or whatever. Anyway, it was around that time, and I remember it all really blew up when Das Effects came out. Like cats in Brooklyn was doing it, you know what I mean, and some cats uptown was doing it, in Harlem. Some cats were doing it but most people weren't dressing like that until Das Effects blew up, and then everybody started dressing like that. So hence Wu-Tang Clan wearing fatigues and boots and stuff like that. So all of them weren't doing it on that according to the show. But I know like the Jizzle was kind of like wearing that stuff, the fatigues and stuff like that. But I know again there was a shift. I just couldn't remember when that shift was. But now I can say it was around when Das Effects came out, and some people were doing it. I'm not saying they weren't, because Das Effects got that style from somewhere. But then once they came up and they blew up with the album, everybody started doing it. Word. Yo, shout out to the big homie Adisa Banjoko. On the Bishop Chronicles, and hopefully I'm gonna get on his show or whatever's gonna happen. In the Bishop Chronicles episode 88, he has Rob Nasty on there, and they're talking about the elements of hip hop and b-boying and Rob Nasty was pointing out how, like, can we call certain aspects of b-boying hip hop, because a lot of b-boys or breakers, a lot of them don't dance to like the old school break beats or hip hop. They dance to other things. I thought that was important, and they brought up the concept of how some graffiti writers didn't see themselves as part of hip hop culture, and I think that's important. And me and Adisa talked about this via DMs about how, for example, like Lady Pink and Wild Style was talking about that idea that graph writers weren't part of hip hop, and it's an interesting take. It really, really is. And I think that they have a legitimate argument, and it's something that I hear a lot of graph writers talk about even after Lady Pink. So it's really dope. We're gonna have that debate. We're gonna have that discussion. If y'all want to throw in some comments or whatever, of course, DM me on the Twitters. It's gonna be at the end of the show. But we're gonna have that discussion, man. I know I've been saying that we're gonna do a lot of stuff, but let's get it on. So I was watching. I didn't watch. Somebody linked me to a YouTube link where T.I. was going off on Candace. Wasn't it Candace Owens? And it was a Revolt Summit. So I said, yo, let me watch some of it, because it was the clip that I saw was when he was like, oh, that's you bullshit, all that stuff everybody was hyped about. And so I watched it for a little bit. I watched about 40 minutes of it. I don't know how I did it. And I noticed that the Revolt had did something previously with Killer Mike and T.I. They were on there. So they brought them back, and they brought Jeff. Remember Jeff Sells from BT? He was on there. Candace Owens and a few other people I'm not familiar with at all. They was fucking wilding though. Like, you know what I mean? And it was a straight clown show. And I'm a fan. Hey, let me just say this. I'm a fan of Killer Mike and T.I. Like, as artists, I think they're dope as shit. I think Killer Mike be tripping on that Bernie Sanders shit. And, like, his Netflix show was kind of fucking booty. Like, that shit was booty, yo. Like, to be honest, I don't know motherfuckers. I was like, oh, shit, you got to watch that Killer Mike joint. But anyway, like, I was watching it, and I was like, what are they doing? And I forgot that there's an election coming up. And I noticed that when there's a presidential election coming up, they, like, parade these people. But I want to talk about Candace Owens real quick. She's a conservative hack, and like, yo, I don't feel her at all, like, on so many levels. I really don't. But I noticed that like motherfuckers really come for her really hard. But for some reason, Kanye West be getting a pass. Like, I noticed that shit. Like yo, to be honest, like, if they were gonna do the Revolt Summit, right, and they wanted to get somebody who's like pro Trump, pro 45, why didn't they get Kanye? And I'm not saying that they didn't try to get him, because maybe they tried to get him and he was like, nah, I'm good, because he gets a lot of backlash for it. But I noticed that like motherfuckers don't have the same energy when it comes to Kanye like they do for Candace Owens. I noticed that. Like not just like on TV, but also like on Twitter, shit like that. Like you know what I'm saying? Again, I completely disagree with her 100% on so many levels. And I think I honestly don't even believe, I'm not trying to justify anything she says at all. At all. I just think that she lying. There's no way she could believe the shit she be saying. There's no fucking way. And that's not to say, because I seen her in front of like Congress and shit, and I seen her talk about how the problem in the black community is, you know, fatherlessness. There's a lot of people across the spectrum that believe that, across the political spectrum that believe that fatherlessness is the problem, and the reason why we got all this shit is because of fatherlessness. There's a lot of people who believe that. I know a lot of people that are like that I work with, and they just feel like that's the fucking problem, and it isn't. But so it's not far-fetched that she would say shit like that out of her mouth, but I don't think we need to be calling her shit like bitch, you know, fucking, you know, all kinds of words that we use. I really don't think we need to do that. I really honestly don't think. You know what I mean? Like, I think we could like debate people. Really, to be quite honest, before I even go there, we should never bring her people like her to the table. Like, I feel like her ideas are not things we need to be debating. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff she be spouting and people like her be spouting, we don't even bring. Like she down with like Reverend Ralph Peterson, right? Like he's someone that I would never bring to the fucking table to talk or debate, because my job is not to include you in that shit. You know what I mean? You either down with us or you're not down with us. You know what I mean? And that's how I see it. But at the same time, I'm not gonna fucking insult you. I'm not gonna and you know, again, I believe she has ulterior motives. I don't think she really believes it, but I wouldn't insult her like that. You know what I mean? Like for real. So I, you know, when I saw that, I noticed that's something that I noticed, and I think we can do better when it comes to that. And to be honest, she shouldn't even been brought to the table. And there was some other women on there. She was talking about how immigrants are the problem, and I'm just like, what the fuck? You know, but this is the kind of shit that there are people who feel like, oh, we need to bring them to the table, and we got to try to convince them. And I'm like, nah. And I'm not saying that you should fucking throw rocks at them when we see them in the street. I just don't want to invite them to the party. You know what I mean? Another question I get asked, this was going to be about child rearing, so bear with me. People ask me, yo, how you get your kids to read? I got 4 kids between the ages of 13 and 25, and they all enjoy reading. And let me just say this, that like all the parents, because you know my oldest is with a different woman, all of us are avid readers. Like I think, you know, children they're gonna do what you do versus what you say. That's like an old saying, right? So I see a lot of parents say, you know, I want my kid to read, and then I always ask them, are y'all reading? You know, I go to their spot and they, you know what I'm saying, they have a big movie collection and they don't have a lot of books. Which, you know, you can have a big DVD collection. It's all love. No one, I'm not judging. But it's just like they're going to do what you do. So if you're reading, they're going to be like, oh, okay. Another thing is like, you know, take them to the library, man. Like, you know, those things still exist. Like, you know, get them a library card, take them to the library, you know, weekly or whatever. And just introduce them to that. Like, let them see that. And, you know, you also check out books and stuff like that, you know, spend time and stuff like that. And I think with us, we had like friends that read and borrowed books and loaned us books and vice versa. And then, you know, we geeks, you know what I mean? Like, and we're surrounded by geeks. So we read comic books and stuff like that, go to comic conventions, all that stuff. Like, all that stuff is like important. Like, it's like you got to like immerse them in that culture. You can't just like be like, all right, here you go. You really do. And I think that when they see that everybody around them reads and everybody's down and discusses books, they feel like, oh shit, okay, like maybe that's what I got to do. I think probably one of the best parts of parenting is, and I wish more people did this, particularly dads, like read to your kids at night. Like when they were younger, I read to them at night. Like that's just like a dope bonding moment. You know what I mean? Outside of the reading, but it's just you spend some like intimate moments with them. And I wish more cats would do that or talk about doing that. And then at a certain point, like they read along because they knew the words. And then at a certain point, they just started reading. So on, to themselves, to each other. And I think that, again, you got to immerse them in that. You can't just be like, do this. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if you want them to eat vegetables, you got to eat vegetables, bro. You can't just be like, eat the vegetables, man. Word. I hope that helps out. Again, if you have many more questions, you know where to DM me at. Word. Let me just say this real quick because I get asked this question a lot, man. There's no such thing as superfoods. You know what I mean? A lot of people like to think that if they eat a particular fruit or vegetables that it's going to prevent them from getting cancer or help them lose weight, shit like that. There's no such thing. There's no, like, I'm sorry, y'all. And I don't know who sold you that lie. That being said, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't eat fruits and vegetables. That should be the mainstay of your diet, to be quite honest. Even if you don't eat if you're not a vegetarian or a vegan, fruits and vegetables and grains should be kind of like the staple of your diet. Motherfuckers known that for decades. Like, that's like, that we shouldn't even be discussing that. You know what I mean? So, like, stay away from fast food. But there's no such thing, because people come up to me all the time and they be like, oh, well, I eat XYZ, blah, blah, blah. You should eat more fruits and vegetables. You should. You should eat. Stay away from soda. Stay away from fast food. Like, you don't need to be a doctor to know that. You don't need to, you know what I'm saying? Really, the key, I talked about this on the show before, the key is eating healthy, watching your portions, and exercising, maintaining your exercise. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you do those things, you have a healthy lifestyle. Again, I say it all the time, there's no magic bullet to health. There's no one thing you could do that's going to give you, an 8-pack that's going to, keep you at the weight that you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, or you desire to be. So please don't let nobody fool you into that. Don't let nobody convince you of that shit or sell you some shit. Like, it really isn't, man. Motherfuckers make shakes that try to say you lose weight. Oh, none of that stuff work, man. I'm just letting you know that right now. If you want more information, just hit me up, hit me up in the DMs on Twitter, and we'll definitely talk. But there's no superfoods, none of that shit. Dr. Sebi, fuck that motherfucker, all of that. Man, for episode 80, I'm gonna do my shout outs. These are the people that kind of like help push the show. Definitely got to give a shout out to the homie Sean Shot, who actually gave me the microphone. I think I was like on episode 35 when he gave me the microphone. So shout out to him. I wasn't even thinking about buying one. I was content doing it on my little iPhone. Shout out to the homie Carl and the homie Eb. They gave me a lot of ideas, man. We would just be talking, and they gave me like a lot of ideas of which segments to talk about and focus on. Shout out to the homie Misty for her creative ideas. She's a creative, so she always be giving me some ideas about what I should talk about. And yes, I have the Capoeira episode coming soon. Want to give a shout out to the homie Science with Steph, who really like a lot of stuff that I did because she gave me the ideas for that. So shout out to you. Definitely shout out to the sisters from T with Q and J, with Queen and J, because really they would have. It was them. It was For All Nerds show that really made me say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. I definitely got to shout out the Black Guy Who Tips podcast, because when I've been listening to podcasts for a long time, then I stopped, and then I was gonna do it, and I started listening to it again, but they kind of like put the bug in my head about doing it. But it was really For All Nerds and T with Queen and J that really they were the tipping point of this. So definitely shout out to them. And like when I do my podcast, and I'd be like, I always think to myself, how would they do it? So they really would. They're really the ones that do that for me, man. So I love y'all. Word is bond. Word. So definitely, if you want to book me for panel discussions or workshops, anything from black male feminism to Afro-Latinidad, capoeira, b-boy, breakdancing, or the history of hip-hop culture, you could hit me up on Gmail. I know that was a lot. dantresomi, dantresomi @gmail. You can hit me up on the Twitters if you just want to build. For the official Twitter for the show is Omi's Podcast, OMIS Podcast. And then my personal one is @dantresomi, dantresomi. Of course, I'll put everything in the show notes. Let me know what's up. I got some shit coming up that I want to tell y'all about. Maybe I could pop up and do something for y'all. Let me know what's up, and I'm gonna definitely keep y'all updated. Word.